Why retire in Rio San Juan or the Playa Grande region? Heading east from Cabarete, we continue the drescapes tour of towns where Americans, Canadians, and Europeans love to retire or own vacation homes. Rio San Juan is about 32 miles east of Cabarete, connected by Camino Cinco, which is Highway 5. And just to put it in perspective, Rio San Juan is just about in the middle of the north coast, about 14 miles west of Cabrera. Overall, Cabrera is our favorite little retirement village, and the hills of Rio San Juan come in a close second. For us, we really love the quieter lifestyle of these non-touristy towns. There are some things about Rio San Juan that clearly sets it apart from other expat-favored towns on the north coast of the DR. I'll try to point out some of the things that I've noticed about Rio San Juan. If I had to boil it down to only 3 things that set Rio San Juan apart from the rest of the north coast towns, I guess I would pick these 3. First, Rio San Juan is home to Laguna GriGri, which is a beautiful little natural lagoon that passes through sheltered mangroves out into the sea. Laguna GriGri is quite famous with tourists and residents of the north coast. Local guides with smaller boats are typically ready to give you a tour of the lagoon and to boat you out through the mangroves into the mouth of the lagoon and into the ocean waves. It's a nice, peaceful diversion when you visit Rio San Juan. Laguna GriGri is also one of the few places in the middle of the north coast where you can safely park a boat sheltered from the ocean waves and weather. The second thing that sets Rio San Juan apart from some of the other north coast towns is the well-established French expat community that now calls Rio San Juan home. The international school and many of the businesses speak and cater to the French expat community in this little town. That's not to say that you won't fit in easily if you're not French. You will. And I suspect you'll like the fact that our French expats know how to have a good time, eat well, and are quite friendly. And the third thing that sets Rio San Juan apart is how close it is to the world-famous Playa Grande Resort and Beach. Playa Grande really is something to behold. Playa Grande Beach is a stunning crescent-shaped beach, and it sits right next door to the more private but still stunning natural Playa Preciosa beach. Between these 2 beaches, there's something pretty special for everyone. And the Playa Grande Resort is in the very early stages of some major, rich and famous level development. More about that in a few minutes. Of course, Playa Grande has always been popular with locals, tourists, and expats. I remember when I first started coming down to the area, I was able to drive right out on the Playa Grande beach, and in minutes a vendor would rush out, take our food order, and bring us a plastic table and chairs right out on the beach. Pretty cool. Sometimes we were all alone and sometimes there was a crowd. But the fresh caught grilled fish and fixings were cheap and great. Unlike Puerto Plata, Sosua, and Cabarete, these towns in the center of the north coast see a lot less tourists and tend to be quieter with less tourist traffic and less transient community. And when it comes to retiring somewhere, it's a much more personal thing than deciding to buy a vacation condo or home that you will only see a few weeks or months a year. For retirement, a lot depends on what you enjoy. In these middle towns like Rio San Juan or Cabrera, things are quieter and life is slower. Mañana is your reality in these little towns. If you're the type that needs a very active nightlife every day or a lot of hustle and bustle, then these middle towns may not be your best bet. On the other hand, if you prefer the quieter life without all the tourist-driven congestion, then these middle towns may be just right for you. After all, you can always hop in the car and head over to one of the party towns about an hour away. I guess if there's one complaint, they didn't realize how quiet these towns can be. They fell in love with the natural beaches, the great mountain to sea views, and they moved here, only to discover that they preferred all the excitement and chaos of a tourist vacation town. The two are very, very different. That's not to say that Rio San Juan never sees any tourists, au contraire. It gets its share of day tripper tourists from the party towns to the west. They come for the more natural beaches and to check out Laguna GriGri. And Rio San Juan also gets its share of tourists that venture out from the Grand Bahia Principe, an all-inclusive resort that sits right on the edge of town. But where to settle down for retirement is a big decision. I really urge you to come down on one of our discovery tours and check it out for yourself. Internet research is really a pretty poor substitute for planting your feet on the ground and exploring a place for yourself. It's also a great way to meet and talk to others that have made the move before you. They can share what they like and what they don't like about their new hometown. Yes, you can expect a lower cost of living here. Yes, you can find million-dollar ocean views for bargain prices. Yes, you can eat the freshest and best tasting foods every day. And yes, you can meet some of the friendliest local and expats in the Caribbean. But you will only know that for sure when you visit it in person. Back to Rio San Juan. Rio San Juan has about 17,000 residents, so it does offer a fair number of amenities and essentials like grocery stores and hardware and paint stores and a number of restaurants and bars and most of what you would need on a day-to-day basis. And as typical for the towns in this area, it is flanked by the ocean on the north and the ridge line on the south. A lot of the expats prefer to live up in the hills overlooking the town and the coast because of the fantastic views and year-round cooling breezes. As you will notice from some of the pictures, the views from the hills are breathtaking. Of course, there are also plenty of in-town homes to choose from too. It is impossible to talk about Rio San Juan without also digging in a little deeper into the Playa Grande area. Back in 1997, some early developers built the Playa Grande golf course overlooking the huge Playa Grande beach. The course was the last foreign golf course designed by Robert Trent Jones, and it is currently being redesigned by Reese Jones. 10 of the holes skirt the ocean cliffs with stunning views. In fact, many golfers call Playa Grande the Pebble Beach of the Caribbean. Now moving forward 2 decades, some big things are happening at Playa Grande. A new development company has taken control and has committed to $1 billion plus development. They control over 7 miles of coastline and 2,400 acres and some of the most beautiful coast and mountain property on the north coast. This is a big league development with home sites starting over $1.5 million. In addition to the golf course, their owners and guests have access to beach cottages, a high-end hotel, private beaches, scuba and other water sports, hiking trails, horseback trails, and every other high-end amenity you could ever imagine. There's even talk of a specialty medical center on site. This really is a playground for the rich and famous, with cottage rentals running about $2,000 a night or more, and homes running well over $3 million. Now, I realize some of you may not quite be ready to play in that league, but there is a way to benefit from all the development. Keep in mind location, location, location. That's an age-old real estate axiom. Location is everything, and owning something next door to the most exclusive development on the North Coast can pay off in several ways. Keep in mind, when Playa Grande is fully developed, it's expected to employ almost 2,000 staff, some local and some imported. They have to live somewhere, and Rio San Juan and Cabrera are the most likely nearby towns. There will be plenty of vacationers that want to visit the playground of the rich and famous without dropping $2,000 a night. They will need to stay somewhere. That means either Rio San Juan or Cabrera. The beaches of the Dominican Republic are always open access, no matter where you spend the night, whether it's in a $2,000 a night bungalow on the beach or a $40 a night local hotel. You can still enjoy the same beaches. In fact, as a condition of developing the Playa Grande beach area, the developers also agreed to develop the public access areas of Playa Grande and Playa Preciosa beaches, and they did a good job of it, with more food vendors, better facilities, and more souvenir shops. Of course, you can still picnic right on the beach, and they will still bring the table, the chairs, and the fresh grilled seafood right out to you on the beach. Also, I'm betting there are more benefits coming from this huge $1 billion investment. Given the level of clientele this development will attract, there's a good chance that another international airport may be headed into this area. Access to the current international airports in Puerto Plata and Samana is pretty convenient, but one right here in the middle of the North Coast will bring even more growth. We'll see if that materializes. As you'll see in the pictures that are flipping through right now, there's something for everyone at every budget in the Rio San Juan area, and even more options in the Cabrera area. There are pockets of Rio San Juan that are pretty upscale, especially in the hills or right on the coast, and you'll have even more upscale options in Cabrera. As we flip through the pictures of the homes and villas available right now in the Rio San Juan area, you will see properties that range anywhere from about $90,000 up to over $3 million. People always tell us that it's hard to pick out the good deals from the not so good deals from the pictures on the internet, and we would agree totally. You can tell so much more from being here in person, and the Discovery Tour is the easiest way to make that happen. Check it out on the DR Escapes website. We hope you will join us on the rest of our DR Escapes Retire on the North Coast series as we visit each of the towns that expats and vacation owners prefer. In this series, we are covering Puerto Plata, which is the port town, Sosua, which is the party town, Cabarete, which is the windsurfing town, Rio San Juan and Playa Grande, Cabrera, which is the fishing village that so many expats seem to prefer, and Las Terrenas with its eclectic European vibe. Come along. If you're liking this video series about where to retire on the north coast of the Dominican Republic, please like the video, subscribe to our channel, and share it.